Tonight, Downing Street drama. It's Ian Murray out and Douglas Alexander in as Scottish Secretary as Keir Starmer reshuffles his cabinet.
I'll have the latest on a massive day in politics and what it means for Labour here at Westminster and in Scotland.
Also tonight, have you spotted the saltires flying from lampposts recently? We speak to the organisers behind some of the displays about why they're doing it.
In sport, it's a huge night for Scotland as Steve Clarke's men prepare to take on Denmark in their World Cup qualifying opener.
I'm Andrea Breimer. This is the STV News at 6, live from Aberdeen. Good evening. The Scottish Secretary Ian Murray has been sacked amid a major cabinet reshuffle at number 10. He's been replaced by former Minister Douglas Alexander. In a day of drama, Prime Minister Keir Starmer brought in the changes following the resignation of his deputy this morning. Angela Rayner had referred herself to the Independent Advisor on Ministerial Standards for underpaying stamp duty on her flat. Well, Paris has been gauging the mood in Westminster today. He joins us now. Paris, just how much of a blow is this for Keir Starmer and indeed the Labour Party?
Andrea, it is a big blow. It was only on Monday that Keir Starmer said that he had reset his government. This was phase 2, all about delivery. But that was before the bombshell revelation from Angela Rayner that she had underpaid tax on the purchase of a second home. Her resignation is a real loss to Keir Starmer. She was his deputy and a close ally. She could speak to parts of the Labour Party and the country that the Prime Minister struggles to get through to. But her fate was sealed when the independent watchdog for standards ruled that she had broken the ministerial code.
Ultimately, she's made the right decision, but on a human level, Angela's someone that's very close to me. She's a good friend of mine, a political ally of mine, and of course, I feel a deep sense of sadness that she's now had to leave government. She's actually delivered very effectively in government. We wouldn't have a new deal for working people if it wasn't for the energy and the commitment and the values of Angela Rayner, and so I obviously wish her and her family all the best.
Now, Angela Rayner hasn't just resigned from government, she's also stood down as the elected deputy leader of Labour, and the contest that's going to follow could be divisive and distracting. That's why the Prime Minister felt he had to look like he was seizing the initiative with a wholesale reshuffle of his cabinet.
And that reshuffle has cost the Scottish Secretary Ian Murray his job. Was that a surprise?
Yeah, politics is a brutal business, isn't it? It was only yesterday the Prime Minister and Ian Murray were in Scotland celebrating record investment in shipbuilding on the Clyde. Today, he was being sacked over the phone. This clearly was a surprise to Ian Murray. He put out a statement saying how disappointed he is. He's Scottish Labour's great survivor. He spent years in the political wilderness waiting for a leader like Keir Starmer who could lead Labour back into power. And Ian Murray helped make that happen. But even though on paper you would expect the two men to be as close as can be, we've heard whispers for a while now that Keir Starmer and Ian Murray weren't that close personally, and the Prime Minister wanted his own man at the Scotland office. That man is Douglas Alexander, and he's done the job before when Labour were last in power, almost 20 years ago. He was re-elected as an MP after 10 years away from Westminster just last year. He is now Scotland's man around the cabinet table. His main job is going to be trying to defeat the SNP at next year's Holyrood election.
Quite a day there then, Paris. I'm sure we'll be hearing much more about this next week. Thank you. Well, seizing on today's drama, the Reform Party leader, Nigel Farage, said the government is deep in crisis and that the cabinet is not fit to govern. He was, of course, reacting to the news of Angela Rayner's resignation at his party's conference in Birmingham. But how is his party faring here? Well, at the general election last year, they got 7% of the vote across Scotland. A poll published this week suggests they could be on track to get 16% 2% at next year's Scottish Parliament election. Take Aberdeenshire North and Moray East, for example. Last year, Reform came in third with 14.6% at the general election. That was their best result in Scotland. And a few months ago, they got 26% at a Holyrood by-election. Now, Reform has one MSP after Graham Simpson defected from the Scottish Conservatives. But opinion polls suggest they could have 15 or 16 in the next Parliament. But who are they? Well, STV has had exclusive access to the party's biggest gathering so far in Scotland. Here's our political editor, Colin Mackay.
We've been trying to get access to Reform meetings for some time to find out who they are.
We're the party, Reform UK, that everybody is talking about.
A year ago you were in the small room next door. At that point people were still dismissing you as cranks in Scotland.
And how wrong they were always wrong. We were always the smart people with the common sense solutions.
We haven't been able to get into a local Reform meeting, but I was allowed into their dinner in Glasgow's Corinthian Club. It's maybe not your average Reform crowd, but it's the first access we've had, and it's the day after Graham Simpson defected from the Tories.
I was a member of the Conservative Party since I was 18. I joined in Freshers' Week at Edinburgh Uni, loyal to the party for many years.
You used to work for Megan Gallagher,
Yes.
who was at the time Deputy Leader of the Scottish Conservative Party.
Yeah.
What's moved you to Reform?
I mean, why would I say? What sense does it make? Our country's in an absolute mess.
I'm a Conservative. I still am a Conservative, but you know, Reform is the Conservative Party now, and the Conservative Party isn't. I don't know what it is.
So do you think the Tories have gone too far to the centre?
I think the Tories have gone too far left.
They're not all former Tories though. Some are new to party politics. Have you been in other parties? Have you been involved in politics?
Never.
So this is your first time?
Yes.
I was working as an economic advisor for the EU, would you believe?
Reform wants to scrap net zero targets and step up oil and gas production. So far they don't really have any Scottish Parliament election policies, but they do say they want to get rid of the SNP from government. Their top priority though, by a mile, is stopping illegal immigration. From outside the party, many critics will suggest that it's a racist party. Do you feel that?
Absolutely not. Me as a black person, as you can see, my parents and my grandparents are products of the Windrush generation. There's no way I could look them in the eye, and my daughter also, knowing that I was attached to her, anything.
Even when you hear the party talking about putting lots of asylum seekers, illegal asylum seekers potentially, in what essentially are internment camps, that doesn't bother you?
Not at all. That's not racism, is it? I mean, this has got nothing to do with race. I mean, the asylum seeker, he's got nothing to do with race. They're illegal. They're a threat to our national security. They shouldn't be here.
When you hear Reform talking about how they will deal with people coming into the UK, how do you feel as someone who chairs that Iraqi association?
Well, Reform doesn't say about the people who come to this country. Reform says the people who come illegally.
At the dinner, I'm told there are a few former SNP members, even a former ALBA member, but I didn't get to meet them. There were, though, a few former Labour members. How do you go from being a Labour councillor on the left to a Reform councillor on the right?
Because I think fundamentally it's a party of the working class, Reform, and I think that Reform actually go out and speak to those people that Labour should be representing. So I think
You've gone from the left to the right, not the voters, you've gone.
No, I would say that Labour have went away from being a party of the working class.
Opinion polls put Reform third behind the SNP and Labour for next year's election. People in those parties tell me some of their voters will back Reform on the list. They're a party on the rise and could have some real clout in the next Scottish Parliament.
Now, you may have noticed the saltire flying on lampposts. Well, the flags have started appearing as part of anti-migration protests. Aberdeenshire Council says it's had to pause efforts to take them down after its workers were met with aggressive behaviour. Oliver Wright went to speak to some of those organising the displays in the North East.
This has become a familiar sight in towns and cities across Scotland. Saltires like these have been put up as part of anti-immigration campaigns. Stephen's been organising them here in Peterhead.
The message is different up here with the flags than it is further down south. Like I said, ours is for unity against the government. Okay, illegal migration comes into that, but again, that's not the forefront of our message. It's unity. Finally, we are taking that flag back and joining up, hopefully, to force the government out.
People in the town mostly told me they liked the displays, but didn't know why they were there, and had mixed views on immigration. Have you spotted the saltires across town? What do you make of those?
Superb, absolutely superb.
Do you know why they're there?
No, I've no idea.
I don't like people saying anything against, you know, immigration or anything like that. So
the flags have been put up as part of kind of anti-immigration protests around the country. Does that change your view of it, or is that something that you're for?
I'm for, because this is Scotland, and there's people coming in here pleasing themselves, and they do. They get everything handed to them.
Yesterday, Aberdeenshire Council said it had to suspend removal of the flags here because their workers had faced abuse. It said it would be involving Police Scotland. Unions say abuse is unacceptable.
We're really concerned. Abuse against any public service worker, in fact any worker at all, is something that we don't tolerate. These workers are simply taking the instructions from their employer and doing what they've been asked to do. So as far as we're concerned, it's something that has to stop now.
The flags have also been appearing in Aberdeen. The council co-leader there says they will be removed and that the city should be proud of welcoming asylum seekers.
These people are here seeking sanctuary. They are fleeing from wars and from persecution. That is absolutely unacceptable to be in front of a hotel and to shout abuse to one another in front of a hotel. That's not the place to do it, and it shouldn't happen.
The argument around immigration has become a bitter one, and with more protests outside migrant hotels and council buildings planned for tomorrow, and campaigners saying they'll continue to fly flags like this, it's unlikely to be a row that ends soon. Oliver Wright, STV News.
Campaigners angry about the scale of green energy projects have condemned the Scottish Government's October deadline for consultation about a giant pylon line. SSEN's planning application for the Spittal to Beaulieu link is now with ministers. Objectors say a month is inadequate. The Scottish Government won't comment on live applications. A teenager has died and 6 others have been taken to hospital following a crash near Broughty. It happened on the B966 between Edsall and Inchbare around 9:30 last night. The 19-year-old driver of a blue Ford Fiesta was pronounced dead at the scene. 4 passengers were taken to Ninewells Hospital, while the driver of the other car, a white Kia Ceed, was taken to Aberdeen Royal Infirmary alongside a passenger. The road was closed for nearly 11 hours. Police say they are working to establish the full circumstances. A man has been jailed for 16 years for violent and sexual crimes in Fife, Dundee and Murray, spanning 2 decades. Stephen Whitehurst was found guilty of 13 offences, including rapes against 5 women at the High Court in Dundee. The 44-year-old carried out the attacks between 2006 and last year. Detective Inspector Gordon Patullo commended the strength of the women in coming forward. More strikes could be on the way at Dundee University as the institution's financial crisis nears a year. Members of the University and College Union are being reballoted. The institution is still trying to plug a £35 million black hole, with its latest recovery plan rejected. Senior management twice indicated compulsory redundancies would be ruled out, but a draft recovery plan suggested 170 posts could go by compulsory means. Dundee University said it is continuing its dialogue with the Scottish Funding Council.
We are ready to take more strike action to protect our jobs, because we know that there is an alternative to this university recovery plan, and the alternative is, of course, accepting the package that the SFC has made available to the university, but also working together with students and staff to develop a credible, sustainable future for the university, one that doesn't rely on cutting almost half of its core staff.
Fire crews remain on the scene 24 hours after a blaze broke out within a recycling centre compost pile near Dundee Airport. Emergency services were called to the incident at Riverside Recycling Centre on Wright Avenue yesterday evening. 2 appliances are continuing to monitor the situation of the deep-seated fire, which is smouldering, causing heavy smoke in the area. Dundee Airport is advising passengers to contact their airlines for travel updates. Now, it is a beloved local delicacy, and now it's taking centre stage at a brand new event, Smoky Fest. The Arbroath Smoky will be celebrated this Sunday at a special festival in the town, featuring cookery demonstrations, sea shanty workshops and live music. Organisers are encouraging as many people as possible to get involved. Appetite for Angus is urging the public to show their support for local food and drink producers. It comes as farmers' markets launch this weekend in Montrose and Forfar.
I think it's putting Arbroath on the map for being a real foodie destination, a real place to come and celebrate local food and drink. We've been so fortunate who's got involved. We've got some of the region's best food trucks coming, producers, distilleries. Everyone's just got behind it. This is the first one we've ever done, and we're so excited to see what happens on Sunday.
I think there's a lot of pride in the produce that we make here, and as well there's a lot of collaboration. We love to work together, you know, so you'll see some of the producers use the smokies in their pies or in their restaurants. For a lot of people, this is a way of life to them. It's not just a hobby, and it promotes a circular economy. It's better for the environment, it keeps your food miles down, and it means you're getting the freshest produce from people that actually care about what they're doing.
Dundonian actor Brian Cox has warned Dundee City Council not to ignore the city's heritage as he joined calls to save Broughty Castle. The site's future is uncertain, and on a visit today, the 79-year-old said it was too important to be shut. Fraser Nicholl has been speaking to him.
Do your sums better, for a start. You know, that would be my message.
He's no stranger to this part of the world, or to saying what he thinks. Although it may look like something out of a Hollywood film, Brian Cox was back on home turf today visiting Broughty Castle amid uncertainty over its future.
It's really about heritage, and we ignore heritage at our peril. And Dundee has done a lot of ignoring of heritage over the years, because I've lived long enough to witness the kind of mess they've made of certain things over the years. And this is an opportunity to actually do something positive.
The castle was completed in the late 1400s and has stood tall over the River Tay ever since. It's been operating on reduced funding since February, with the council previously speaking about closing it altogether. That threat still hangs in the air, prompting a fight back from one of the city's most famous residents.
When a city's as old as our city is, you know, and it's been here forever, you know, forever. And to ignore it, to say, oh, well, we can't afford that anymore, let's get rid of that. You can't do that.
Dundee City Council says it's looking at options on how it can afford to keep the castle open in the long term, with a business plan currently being developed. The local community stands ready to help with that, but can't do it alone.
Dundee City Council, they're not daft. They've got a difficult job, but some things you just can't touch. You can't touch this kind of thing. It's worth so much more. It's worth its weight in gold. Just let it, give it time for it to be nurtured, and it'll make the difference.
The castle only opens between April and October, but attracts 40,000 visitors every year as the council continues to look at its potential for further revenue streams. Money aside, Dundonians argue it's something the city can't afford to lose. Fraser Nicholl, STV News, Broughty Ferry.
Well, that takes us to sport now with Chris, and we need to be taking a big intake of breath because here we go again.
I'm super optimistic. At the moment, we're winners. We're going to the World Cup. America, Canada, Mexico. Here we come. Hopefully, I will not be crying at full time tonight.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Yes, let's get strapped in. Steve Clarke says his team are ready to handle the pressure of ending Scotland's 27-year wait for qualifying to the World Cup. Well, the Scots are in Copenhagen to face Denmark, where they kick off their qualifying campaign tonight before they travel to Hungary on Monday to face Belarus. Well, from Copenhagen, here's Ronnie Charters.
Well, the stage is set here in Copenhagen in just under a couple of hours' time. Steve Clarke and his Scotland squad will walk out here at the Parken Stadium to take on Denmark. The Dark Blues embarking on a new World Cup journey. The Tartan Army here in their thousands, dreaming this will be the start of a memorable World Cup journey. It's all aboard another World Cup adventure with Scotland. The Tartan Army taking to the waters in Copenhagen this afternoon as they prepare for tonight's huge qualification opener. Be it land or sea, you can always guarantee a tartan takeover.
The place is bouncing and we're just about to go boozing and cruising. You can't beat it, you just can't beat it.
I bring my husband on these away trips, so he gets out, he really enjoys them. I think this is his third, but yeah, we've been coming for years.
I think if we get a point, then take it to Belarus.
This is going to be awesome. No Scotland, no party!
For head coach Steve Clarke, potentially his final campaign in charge of the national team, with his contract up next summer. He's confident his squad have what it takes to go all the way.
Yeah, it's tough. 2 difficult away games. Obviously coming here, we were here last World Cup qualifying. We know it's a tough place to come. They always play well at home, the Danish team. Very aggressive, get after you. So we know we have to defend well, but we also know we have to play well. When we have the ball, we have to play, we have to try and create chances, and hopefully we can come away with a nice positive result to start the campaign.
Andy Robertson has captained Scotland to back-to-back European championships. But the Liverpool defender admits this may be his last chance to walk out at a World Cup finals.
If I look back on my career, I've achieved a hell of a lot of stuff that I'm really proud of, but you know, it's one thing that's clearly missing, and it would be amazing to do that.
They bring the noise and the colour everywhere they go. And as ever, they bring the bubbles. But as we once again begin this qualification voyage, the Tartan Army are hoping their team can create history and set sail for the USA, Canada and Mexico next year. Ronnie Charters, STV Sport in Copenhagen.
I'll take a draw right now. Now, retaining the domestic treble, adding a Champions League title and taking Scotland to the next World Cup. Those are the aims of women's star Erin Cuthbert as she prepares to kick off the new season with her club Chelsea. Well, Cuthbert says she can feel the good times returning under new Scotland head coach Melissa Andreatta. Here's Jamie Borthwick.
She won it all in the English game with all-conquering Chelsea last season, but Erin Cuthbert isn't satisfied yet.
I think overall I've just become more professional in general, to know that, you know, to compete with the very best week in, week out, you're a 24-hour athlete almost. At Chelsea, there's always going to be somebody that's coming for your position. Of course, you want another domestic treble and you want to add sort of European glory. We want to take ourselves to the next step in Europe, in the next stage, and I think we can do that.
Cuthbert's experienced everything from major tournaments to major disappointments in her 78 international caps. Now a senior player for her country, she's feeling the positive momentum of an encouraging Nations League campaign.
We actually dominated and ran over Holland that day, and I was super proud of the team, and it sort of reminded me of old times when things were good. So I think having that as my last game of the season and the last reminder that I have of Scotland, I have really positive memories, and I'm really looking forward to getting started again, because I really think we are building something.
So as well as sweeping the domestic trophies with Chelsea, there's one other box she wants to tick.
Getting Scotland to a major tournament again would just be a dream, and obviously Brazil, Scotland, we've got a bit of history, Joga Benito, not all that, but no, it would be a dream to take Scotland to a World Cup.
Now, new Ross County manager Tony Docherty says there's no way they'll underestimate Arbroath, and he picked out Colin Hamilton and this guy, David Gold, for praise after they steered the Smokies to third place. The no easy games mantra is evidence of why Tony Docherty has replaced Don Cowie in the Staggies' dugout. The Dingwall side are second bottom with just 2 points and no wins from their opening 4 matches.
Arbroath have started particularly well. They've got a really good management team. I know the 2 boys, and they've got good experienced players. You know, they're good at what they do. So that'll be a really tough game. They'll be coming up here with a game plan. As I say, they've started the season really well, so there's absolutely no way that we would underestimate the difficulty of the game, and that's this league. You know, every single game in this league is difficult. You know, you need to be at your best, you know, in terms of your preparation, in terms of your execution of a game plan, because you know you get real tough opponents, and Saturday will be an example of that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very tough one for the Staggies. That's all from me. We'll be back here on Monday.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
So let's go to the weather forecast now as we head into the weekend. Phillips here, do you have good news for us?
Well, yes, Andrea, some semi-good news for you. Temperatures are on the rise over the weekend, but things will also be turning pretty wet, windy and cloudy come Sunday. Overall, it has been feeling pretty autumnal, and we've been sent in some very autumnal photos this week from across the country. Lots of sunrises, sunsets and leaves on the ground. So a reminder, if you're out and about this weekend, to get those STV snaps sent in to us. Things remaining autumnal as we head into next week. Let's look at the forecast.
Outbreaks of ancient sites will gradually settle into an evening of pizza plates al fresco. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, over the weekend, this area of high pressure will put us into a south to southwesterly airflow. We're dragging in slightly milder air, so it does mean we'll see our temperatures climb a degree or two throughout Saturday and into Sunday. Come the start of next week, though, low pressure is never too far away. This will move in from the west, turning things fresher once again and more unsettled. As we head into the overnight period, generally it's remaining largely dry for many of us here in the east. We will see some clear skies. So where we've got the clear conditions, we will see temperatures dropping a few degrees. Some rural spots getting down to around 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. Could also see some mist and fog patches forming. So looking ahead to tomorrow morning, a largely dry start to the day. This is where we'll see the best of any brightness first thing once the mist and fog patches have cleared. Throughout the course of the afternoon, though, we will start to see more in the way of cloud bubbling up, certainly compared to what we've seen today, and it will be turning widely windy by tomorrow evening. Temperature-wise tomorrow, in the best of the brightness, reaching highs of 19 or 20 degrees Celsius. So like I said, seeing those temperatures climbing a couple of degrees compared to today. Then looking ahead to Sunday, it will be a very windy start to the day. We've got these frontal systems moving in from the west, so some heavy blustery showers moving northeastwards throughout the course of Sunday afternoon. Temperatures reaching highs of 22, but with the wind, the rain and the cloud, not feeling particularly pleasant. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, that's all we have time for. It's been a busy day. We will be back with the late headlines at 10:30, but from all the team here, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.